Sri Lanka, where he received novice ordination and bhikkhu ordination, both under the eminent scholar monk, Venerable Balangoda Ananda Maitreya. A monk for some 50 years, Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi has many important publications to his credit, including a translation of the entire Anguttara Nikaya entitled The Numerical Discourses of the Buddha. Most recently, he published his Reading the Buddha's Discourses in Pali, a practical guide to the language of the ancient Buddhist canon. In 2008, together with several of his students, Venerable Bodhi founded Buddhist Global Relief, a nonprofit supporting hunger relief, sustainable agriculture, and education in countries suffering from chronic poverty and malnutrition. Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi has offered several series of courses for Dharma Realm Buddhist University and the City of 10,000 Buddhas, including a seminar called The Path of Liberation and a series on Abhidhamma. He has also been a guest speaker multiple times in our Buddhist Text Translation Certificate program. He is a personal hero for many of us, someone who is simultaneously a Buddhist monk, scholar, translator, and last but not least, an activist. He uses his Buddhist practice and knowledge to envision and enact wise and compassionate responses to the massive ecological, social, and humanitarian crises we face today. With joy and respect, we now invite Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi to share his thoughts with us on the topic of Buddhist response to a world in crisis. Venerable Bodhi.
Okay, so first let me thank the Dharma Realm Buddhist University for inviting me to give this talk this afternoon, and to Venerable Hung Yin for the introduction. Oh, it's hard to believe that I've spent 50 years as a monk. When you said it, I realized I did a little arithmetic in my mind and realized that I had my novice ordination in 1972. Though I still have about 6 months to go until I actually reach the actual date of the ordination, the novice ordination. Okay, so the topic that I was asked to speak about, it's quite an intimidating one and quite a momentous one. And so in a talk of roughly 1 hour, I'm supposed to provide the solutions to all of the overwhelming crises and conflicts and problems facing humanity today. So what are some of these problems that we're facing? So I'll just enumerate several of them, not in a particular order. One is that we have glaring income inequality, both within the United States and between countries around the world, as well as the persistence of poverty. Even larger and larger percentages of the world's population are facing the threat of debilitating poverty, hunger, lands becoming inhospitable to human habitation. And then in this country, we have the persistent problem of racism, which is now sort of surfacing in new forms which I would say are now even threatening the viability of our democratic political system. We have continuing militarism. We have lavish expenditures on our military budget, at the same time diminished comparatively smaller investments in programs of social welfare, social uplift. And we have repeated incidents of police violence, particularly against Black Americans, but also against other people. We have an upsurge of religious fundamentalism, a kind of very toxic, I would say, brand of Christian radical fundamentalism, which is even threatening to erode the foundations of democracy in this country. Growing intolerance and polarization between people of different convictions, different political convictions. And then sort of as the dark cloud overshadowing all of our conflicts, we have environmental destruction, particularly manifest in the form of what's called climate change, but I prefer to call it the climate crisis or climate devastation. Okay, now I was asked to deal with these topics by basing my talk on primary sources. And I think I was given that assignment because that is the approach taken at the Dharma Realm Buddhist University to study topics by going to primary sources. And that puts me in a kind of quandary because if we turn to the ancient Buddhist sources, we don't find a large amount of literature on those particular problems. But we do find some indications or hints in classical Buddha sources on a kind of, let's say, a vision of an ideal social and political order, and actually very concrete and specific instructions or guidelines laid down for rulers on how to administer their country. And so what I'm going to do is to go through some of these primary sources, first taking the ancient primary sources, and then also taking what we would call contemporary primary sources, some documents from the modern era, which lay down, call this the paradigm for a proper, benevolent, beneficial, economic and social order that is conducive to the common good. So we'll look at those documents, and then I will develop my own thought and my own analysis based on those sources. So what I'm going to do is to share my screen, and so we can look at the documents together. Okay, this is what I want.